What is going on, guys? Sid here with another FIFA 23 video, and welcome to the RTG on this channel. So guys, strap yourselves in for a wild 25-minute ride, because guys, in the past couple of days, well, I'm literally just giving you a recap, but guys, in the past couple of days, I not only managed to get what you see on the screen done, this Franck Ribery card, I got him completed, and guys, I got none other than Nathan Ake completed. So what you're gonna see is me just dubbing over any of the original sounds, right? Because it obviously took me quite some time. As you guys know, I've been working on relearning the mechanics. So after I got these guys in the team, I actually just went straight to experimenting with different chem styles on the players that you are going to see on the screen, right? So Franck Ribery was the first of the two big additions to the side, and temporarily, I did try changing up the squad. I tried adding Calvin Phillips into the side as well, and I tried adding Wolszek Chesney. I tried changing around the squad, right, and seeing where I thought I could have bettered the side, but I settled on putting in my central midfield in-form Nico Barella, out of position Chiesa, and Benacer. So that's my midfield in the 4-3-3, right? So my back line is now with Tomori, in-form Tomori, and the player that you see on the screen right now, which is none other than World Cup Path to Glory, Nathan Ake, right? So it's going to be titled the World Cup star Nathan Ake. But guys, it's the Path to Glory Nathan Ake card, 87 rated. And guys, obviously, it's not obvious, but it's almost guaranteed that Ake will probably see a couple of stat boosts in the FIFA tournament, FIFA World Cup tournament, right? Why am I brain farting in? I wanted to give you guys the official title and make it all dramatic and stuff, but guys, you understand what I'm saying, right? The Qatar 2022 World Cup tournament, guys, which is well underway, and Netherlands literally just won. So guys, there was a lot of trial and error, right? I took a lot of losses yesterday, just working on learning the mechanics and learning the chem styles. But I settled on putting Erling Haaland back in the front up top. So it's Ribery on my left wing, Haaland, regular gold rare Haaland. Right? If you guys saw the previous RTG episodes, you saw that we packed back in the previous video. We packed regular Erling Haaland again. And guys, even though they've nerfed lengthy players, Haaland still performs incredibly well as my starting striker. Obviously, my super sub is Gonzalo Higuain, which I absolutely love in this FIFA. But for FIFA 23, Higuain has been my favorite striker that I've used. Obviously, there are better ones, right? But guys, since the most recent patch, the gameplay mechanics has changed a lot, right? So with Nathan Ake, I was using him with a Shadow Chem style yesterday, right? And after I finished all the swaps tokens, my head was spinning, right? You're not fresh. So when I got up this morning, I played one match with him with a Shadow Chem style. And I was figuring, should I stay with the Shadow Chem style because I was destroyed. I was learning the player, right, how he moves, and he kind of felt he didn't feel too much better or worse than the Ricardo Carvalho, the Foot Heroes Ricardo Carvalho that I was using, the World Cup Heroes version of the card, or the regular card, right? He just felt kind of similar. But once I changed him over to a lengthy still, not for nothing, lengthy acceleration types are still really, really good, right? So as you can see here, once I put Haaland back in, put him with a Hunter Chem style, Haaland already makes it 1-0. Right? So as you can see, right, I think in the most recent patch, has kind of gotten a lot of FIFA FUT players riled up, right? Which chem style is the best to use? Which chem style trumps the other one due to the acceleration types in game, and what animations are triggered, right? So what I'm gonna say is that I think it's a little bit more balanced, right? From yesterday to today. Today I'm fresh, right? So when I was fresh, I took one loss this morning in Rivals, and then I ended up on a hot streak, right? I finally got the hot streak. And what you're seeing right now is the hot streak with Franck Ribery and Nathan Ake, right? End of the era, Franck Ribery and Nathan Ake. So I was experimenting with chem styles. So let's quickly just switch over, right? Because I think the new meta, with the way the game is now, the new meta, right? You're gonna have explosive players be able to do similar damage that the lengthy acceleration types have been doing, right, in the game. So I don't think they've touched lengthy players as much as a lot of people are like over exaggerating about it, right? Because given the way my Haaland is playing, it's lending me to believe that the lengthy players aren't, you know, they're still very much so usable in game. Sometimes if the touch is correct, they still boost like crazy. The main difference I've seen since the patch is that my Chiesa has moved incredibly smooth in game, right? So I think the other chem styles are quite balanced, right? The other acceleration types are quite balanced. So regardless of whichever chem style you're using, the players will move in a specific manner, and they will still have a similar effect, not the same effect, but an equal effect over the course of time once you learn how the players move. There's just a lot of things that needs to be like pinpointed again, right? So as you can see, in the first match, like after that warm-up match I played this morning, in the first match, I was using Ribery with a Hawk chem style, and he did some damage, right? But I was like still like, I went through Hunter, I went through the Hawk, I went through the engine. I finally settled on the engine, right? Not in this match. In the first match, I was using the Hawk, but then I finally settled on an engine chem style, right? Because I wanted to just max out his dribbling and just move the way Ribery moves in game. And let me tell you right now, guys, Ribery is just insanely good in game, right? But he has one huge drawback, right? Because if you guys are putting in like close to 400k worth of coinage, right? The equivalent coinage, right? In the match, not in the match, into an SBC, you want to know what to expect from the card. So what I'm going to tell you right now about the Ribery card is absolutely insane. He's 5-star, right? He already has good attack positioning, and he has good finishing, right? So I didn't want to touch it. I could have obviously touched it. I did touch it at the beginning. I used him with a Hunter in a couple matches yesterday and today, and then I started experimenting, right? Because what I was noticing is that he was getting knocked off the ball a lot, right? So then I switched him over to a Hawk. I didn't really feel it, though, with a Hawk, right? I didn't feel like he had any kind of extra oomph, right? So what I decided to do is, instead of maxing out his pace and his shooting stats, right, with the Hunter, I ended up just making him a much more slick player in game, right? One that could weave in and out, right? So I settled on the engine chem style for the end of the era card, but he's kind of Ribery is end of the era Ribery, right? That card is kind of like one of those cards that when you switch to chem style on the card, he will play drastically different, right? Based on whatever chem style you're gonna end up putting on the card, right? So he is an explosive player, okay? So that's the one thing I'm gonna tell you about the card, right? He'll go up to like a 93 in terms of pace, 91 in passing, and his dribbling will be a 95. So the actual dribbling stats will go up. It'll be jacked up to like a 99, right? And his agility will be highly insane. His agility and his balance, right? So his agility is going to get a 90 and his balance is going to be a 98. So when you get in the box with Ribery and you weave in from that side, you're going to be very, very slick on the ball, right? And you're going to move with the intention of either going down or letting off a shot, right? So in the second match, as you're going to see right now, right, I had like a really, really decent opponent, but the second match that I played was like one of these there was some weird, I don't know whose connection it was, but there was just some weird server issues, right? It doesn't really seem like it because the ping indicator is misleading. There's some kind of input lag in the second match, right? And it has nothing to do with my opponent. My opponent was perfectly, like my opponent's skill set was absolutely insane, right? So we are only in Division 5, but it's still a lot of Div 3 players, and it's still a lot of like high-rated players, high-level opponents that have been you know, in terms of like skill-based matchmaking, it's still a lot of high-level players that are playing with high-level teams, right? So as you can see, that Hazard did send me insane, right? Because he just let off one of the most insane shots that of the day, right, is what I'm trying to say. But the Ribery card, right? I want to touch base on the Ribery card before we get up to the Nathan Ake card, right? So, so in terms of like, because obviously the mechanics has changed so drastically, right? From one moment to the next, you cannot on current gen consoles, you cannot determine, right? It's very hard to pinpoint how many minute changes have been made, right? And when that happens, right, there's just a lot more information that you have to process and reprocess, right, over and over and over again. And I was actually getting quite frustrated, right, yesterday, right, when I was doing like the final swaps and stuff like that, and just the final rivals matches, and just testing out how the players moved in game, right? Because when you're like playing it, it's a lot to take in every time they patch a game, and the patches have not been anything but drastic patches, right? And the current patch right now, there's an issue with through balls, right? Like I felt it, some other people in the community were feeling it too. Through balls are not going through as smoothly as they did, right? For whatever reason, sometimes the animation doesn't let off. There's a lot of like bugs in this build, right, of FIFA 23, and it's very, very noticeable, because I think they tried to like implement too many new things, and they're trying to like nerf it or patch it or just rework it, right? So all I could focus on was trying to build up a god tier side, right? And I've been struggling with that. This FIFA, right, has been quite I don't know, right? It's been from one moment to the next. There's not been any type of you know, I'm gonna sound kind of whiny saying this, but I know a lot of people in the community are echoing the same sentiments, which is why I'm reiterating what I'm reiterating. There's just been a lot of like changes where current gen platforms, there's no with current gen platforms, that there's no certainty, right, in terms of expecting what movements, what to expect from one moment to the next in game, right, from your players, right? It's very hard to anticipate if a player is going to let off a perfect pass or just flub a pass completely, right? Passing this year has been just absolutely destructive, right? Sometimes you'll be letting off like perfectly fine passes in the correct direction and everything, right? And the player will just flub the ball, and just like it'll move like 2 millimeters on the screen, right? It's one of those things, right? Where like something is just not clicking in the animations, right? And it's really just annoying at times, right? But for some reason in this game, Haaland as a starting striker, any version of the Haaland card is going to probably play like an absolute beast. But explosive players have gotten, right? I must reiterate this point. Explosive players in the new meta have gotten an insane boost. As you can see with my Chiesa has been moving like an absolute demon in game, right? I have him with a finisher chem style, and he's just moving absolutely beautiful, right? The way that the stats are distributed on the Chiesa really does shine. A lot of other notable players have been shining. Not in my team, but when I was doing swaps yesterday, it was really apparent that Neymar, Vinicius, and Mbappe, right? Like whenever I came across those players did an insurmountable amount of damage in my side, right? It didn't matter who I was running in the back line. It was just, if Mbappe got the ball, it's over for me, right? And that's what it's been. But what I want to say about I want to bring back home this point. Lengthy, I think people in the community have made too much of a big deal about lengthy players, right? Yes, they've gotten nerfed a little, but they are still highly usable, right? Bar none, they are still highly usable. Even if it's not the preferred acceleration type, they are still absolutely insane in game, right? So this was and now we get to the second part of like the initial impressions of the players, right? That the new players in the new squad unveil, right? Because this is essentially a squad unveil video, right? And an initial impression slash player review. I can't really give you a player review with some degree of certainty as of yet, but I'm gonna let you know my initial impressions of the Nathan Ake card, right? When I use him with a Shadow Chem style, he just felt meh, right? When I switched him over to an anchor, and he gets converted over to a lengthy acceleration type again, Nathan Ake, right? World Cup Path to Glory, Nathan Ake, right? 87 rated. He plays really, really solid in game, and he's capable of getting a whole bunch of. He has the potential of going up to an insane center back in game, right? End of year center back, not end of not end of the whole FIFA calendar year, end of this year, right? 2023. He'll probably be. Did I say 2022? What the hell? Into 2023, right? So he will end up being I'm already in next year apparently, right? So he will end up being one of the goated center backs by the end of this year, right? By the end of the FIFA World Cup, FIFA 2022 tournament, right? So that's what I want to say about the Path to Glory Nathan Ake card, right? It's a free demon in your back line, right? And if you've got the time to do 8 swaps tokens, which is like tedious, and it'll probably like get your head spinning and this and that to get it completed, but if you guys get it completed, right, I'm telling you right now, with the team that the Netherlands has in this World Cup, there's a high chance that Nathan Ake will be seeing a lot of stat boosts, right? So right now, like, I want to hold off on giving you guys a review. I kind of want to wait till he gets boosted like crazy. But if I were you, right, I would do that card, right, if you don't already have 2 goated center backs in your back line already, right? Well, then he will just probably be a good super sub for you, maybe? Who knows, right? But, guys, yesterday I was extremely tired when I was playing, extremely tired after grinding and finishing out all of the World Cup tokens, right? Because obviously I wanted to get some watch time in and enjoy the World Cup, right? Today, Saudi Arabia, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia actually beat Argentina, which is absolutely wild to think about, right? What an insane goalkeeper they have, right? So I saw the Shaq meme like earlier today where it's like, I'm sorry I wasn't familiar with your game, and yeah, definitely a fact of the matter, right? And I saw a lot of hilarious memes about it. I saw the De Jong meme, right? That was absolutely hilarious as well, right? But guys, it's been an absolutely insane World Cup experience thus far, and I can't wait to sit down and enjoy the World Cup, right, with you all, and let me know what you guys think about the World Cup as well, right? But yeah, guys, yesterday, right, I was extremely tired once I got the cards, right? So then when I was experimenting with the chem styles, my head was already spinning and I was already tired. So when I got up today, first thing I did was like, okay, you know what? This player needs to be adjusted. This player needs to be adjusted, right? And I just kind of like started pinpointing what needed to be adjusted, where I needed to make the necessary adjustments to start grinding in Rivals again, right? Because I was holding off on it, right, to do it with some level of, with some degree of like intensity, right? So I feel like I'm gonna be able to do that, right? Where it stands with weekend league, I don't know, right? My weekends are really busy, and like I get it done, like, but when I get it done, I'm putting minimal effort into it, right? Just to get the coinage, right? To build up a god tier side, right? So I'm going through the long and short of it, right? But I'm no longer expecting any huge pulls from any of my returns, right? Based on in the past month, like, I have not pulled anything huge, and you guys already know this, right? If you guys have seen the previous videos, you saw my 84 plus by 20, and you guys already know my biggest pull was Haaland, right? Which is a good pull, right? At the beginning of the FIFA 23 cycle, it's an absolutely insane pull, right? But in terms of where we are in terms of power and where we are in the season, right? You want to see something a little better, right? You want to see an insane Path to Glory player. You want to see an insane live version of a card, right? And guys, I have not been pulling anything huge, right? I did, however, pull that Grealish, right? Which did allow me to furnish my side, right? Pretty well, right? I was able to upgrade my Rafael Leao with that card, and he was an insane super sub. As you guys are seeing, right? I brought him on in this match, right? And as a second half super sub after I finished using Ribery. Ribs scored me some goals, right? Ribs has been scoring some goals, right? Ribs will probably end up being an insane player once I learn the card much more, right? Every card has a learning curve. I always state this in every FIFA. Learn your players, right? And it takes a while, especially with your chem styles. Whichever chem styles you prefer, you gotta learn how much pressure to put, how much to move, right? It's one of those things where you gotta learn your players, right? And it takes time before you can even like give a proper player review. It takes close to like 50 to 100 games before you can even give with any kind of certainty a player review. So I really do hate using the term player review, right? Because you won't know with some degree of certainty, right? How you'll get an idea within the first like 10 to 20 matches. You'll get an idea of, is this person usable based on how I play and things like that, right? But it takes time is what I'm saying, right? Learn your players, learn how they move, learn what their pros and cons are, right? So for the Ribery, right? The way I have him, he's extremely agile, his dribbling is insane. I put a little bit of a pace boost on him, right? But I really wanted to touch the passing and the dribbling, right? Because that's how I'm going to use him as a left winger, right? Because he's 5-star, he's going to be really good shooting already, right? His shooting is just going to be goated already. And as it stands with the Nathan Ake card, right? Ake's going to become a goated center back in game, right? Because the Netherlands probably going to go through, right? So the Netherlands probably going to get really far in the tournament is what I'm trying to say, right? They have really, really good young players. They have Gakpo, they have De Jong, they have Van Dijk. They have a lot of insane players right now, right? The squad depth is actually really good. Do I think... I'll hold off on who I think is probably going to win the World Cup, but as it stands, I think this could very well be Brazil's year or Germany's year, right? That's who I'm thinking this time around, but I could be completely wrong. And just take what I'm saying with a grain of salt, right? Because look at the shockers, right? Look at the shockers this so far in this tournament, right? Look at Saudi Arabia literally today, right? Like seriously, that is just absolutely wild, right? So it was an insane start to the World Cup, right? And I hope all teams do well, right? I don't have a favorite this time around, right? I really don't, right? French team's like pretty much injured. Like there's been so many injuries, right? This year for France, right? So I don't think they're front runners, right? I think they'll still make it pretty far, but I don't think they're front runners. I could be wrong, right? And I can always be corrected, right? Higuain, amazing, right? Haaland, amazing, right? Even after the patch, right? Lengthy players are still highly usable, right? So, guys, I'm going to give you guys, right, my 86 plus team of the week pack, like, right after this, right? But I've literally just talked your ear off, right? And I've given you at least some expectation of if you do the end of the era Ribery, what to expect. He'll get knocked off the ball. He's very weak in game. He'll get injured a lot, right? But he's still really good. So I'm going to give him like a solid 9.0. And the Nathan Ake card, yet to be determined, but initially, right, I think he's a 9.0 as well, right? So it's two solid 9s, guys, and we can start climbing. Now, so because here's my 86 absolutely beautiful. Cheers, guys. Peace, love, all the blessings to you and yours. I feel like we're going to get lucky, right? I feel like we haven't had a huge pull on the channel in quite some time, and we may end up getting some insane super sub material, right? It's only a matter of time before we pull something absolutely huge, and we haven't pulled anything huge on this channel, right? In quite some time. Right, the Grealish card kind of does feel like you could say that he's kind of up there, and he will be up there soon, right? Because he will be getting stat boosts. But we haven't pulled anything god tier, right, on this channel in quite some time. So let's send through this set of players that you see on the screen right now, and hopefully we see something god tier. Let's go. Guys, likes, comments, subscription, notification bell, they all help keep the channel going. So I've unveiled the squad, right, as promised. That's what the squad is going to look like, and hopefully the live cards that I have in the side will be getting upgrades, right? And hopefully we can add some more live cards to the squad, right? Because that is the plan. So 86 plus team of the week pack, let's go. Who knows? Hopefully not a duplicate, right? All right, wish me the best of luck. Crossing my fingers. My controller dropped too. Striker. Immobile. So every single familiar face is making a re-return into my side. Because I had 87 Immobile right at the start before I packed Haaland. What the hell is this, right? So,